Raiders! Turn on a flashlight, flip a light switch, strike a match on, just light something on fire. Welcome to Murph's Fan Cave from the Dago Dungeon. Join me, Uncle Mosh, as we join Raiders Fan Radio, taking a lighter journey into the dark side.
Okay, we're back. Look left, look right, Bolitnikov, a leaping pass, touchdown!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Intercepted by Khalil Mack. Touchdown! Raiders!
The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win.
What is up, Raider Nation? Your old buddy Murph back again for another fantastic episode of Raiders Fan Radio, number 89 here in Murph's Fan Cave. Thank you for joining us. As always, thank you to those of you that are joining us on the YouTubes. And of course, thank you to my co-host who is already laughing at me, Uncle Mosh to my right. Welcome, Uncle Mosh, to Raiders Fan Radio. What the heck did I do now?
You go like this, you go, welcome to It just tickled me. I know you gotta breathe.
I gotta breathe, man. Everybody gotta breathe. I gotta take
fish. You don't have gills.
I gotta take in a deep one to get started on the show. What do you want from me?
No, it was great. I don't know why it tickled me. Maybe I need to turn down your breath meter
you
in my
might need to. Yeah. Here we go. Okay, so welcome back to another episode of Raiders Fan Radio.
That was awesome.
Welcome to Raiders Fan Radio. We appreciate you joining us here for 89. Holy cow. It feels like just a couple of weeks ago we were complaining that there was nothing to talk about, and now there's so much to talk about. There is so much news, Uncle Mosh. We could do like a 3-hour show and still not get to everything. It's crazy. So got a lot to get to today. And before we hit that, before I even give you the rundown, you know, just a couple of weeks ago we were like, man, it's just the doldrums, right, of the off season. There's not a lot going on. It's July, not a lot going on. I don't know if it's this year because of Gruden's at the helm or if it's just a continued advent of technology or whatever, but there are more mic'd ups, more interviews, more Raiders-related content out there than I can ever remember. This is the third year now we've been doing Raiders Fan Radio, and I've always wanted to feature as much audio and things as we could. It was never the point where I felt overwhelmed that there was so much content out there for us. And then going back to rewind the clock to Gruden's last time he was with us, I remember I used to download the MP3s from like Raiders.com or like some of the other like outlets, and you could actually listen to the press conferences. But so going back to then, you know, there was time where Gruden would release that stuff. But it just feels like to me, I don't know what it is, but it's like I said, it's overwhelming. There's so much to go out there that we can only comment on a select few things, because if we tried to get to everything, like, no kidding, we'd be here for 3 hours.
And it used to be you had to hunt for it. And this stuff is just out there now. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, you know? That's good. That's
great. It is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's really cool. It's a nice problem to have to go back through and, you know, and decide what we're going to talk about instead of, like you said, searching for things to come up with. So, yeah, very good problem to have, and it's an exciting time. Hey, almost on cue. There's Ron in the chat. Welcome.
Nice.
Ron.
We were talking about
you, Ron. Before I enabled the chat, we were talking about you. We're going to come up with a countdown to Ron for you, Ron. So, come on. So today we do have a lot to get to. We're gonna talk about. We got a new segment on the show. We're gonna call it the 4-minute offense.
Nice.
Basically, this is gonna be the news version of Raiders Fan Radio. We've got a lot of things going on in Murph's Fan Cave within the network, and a couple of different shows. We have the Fan Club Blitz, and we have Mondays with Mikey and Murph, and each show kind of serves its own thing. And really, Mondays with Mikey and Murph is the heavy-duty news show where we're gonna try to get to everything in less than 3 hours. But we still want to do some news here on Raiders Fan Radio. So we pick out a handful of stories, and Uncle Mosh, we're going to give ourselves a 4-minute time limit to go over those shows. So we're going to call that the 4-minute offense, and that's going to be a new segment here on Raiders Fan Radio. Then, of course, we're going to talk about our player. Of course, we always name our show after. In fact, we're going to do that first. We're going to talk about who we're going to name number 89 after. Then we're going to get into a training camp discussion. We got some great audio to play for you all this week. Some stuff that was provided by the Raiders and some stuff that we've actually found on our own. Our microphones were there at training camp this year and in Napa. Then we have a few mic'd ups. We're going to go and check in with the Raiders as they compete and as they work out in training camp. And then finally, we're going to end the show today with an awesome interview with Raiders fan radio veteran Pete Koch, Uncle Mosh, who was there and attended not only the alumni event, but attended training camp this year. So can't wait to hear from Pete.
You know, one more interview from Pete, and he'll be our first former Raider to be a made man.
Oh, nice. I love it. Absolutely. Yeah, this is the second time Pete's joined us here on Raiders Fan Radio, and he just knocked it out of the park.
He always does a fantastic job for us.
He's awesome. He's awesome. So anyway, so that's what we're going to do. That's what today's show is going to look like. So just real quick, I mentioned we have a couple of other shows on our network.
What exactly does... tell everybody that there's a lot of folks that only get the podcast.
Yes.
So what is Mondays with Mike and Murph?
So Mondays with Mikey and Murph is a video. It's a YouTube show. It's on Air Nation. That's Mikey's YouTube channel, formerly Raiders Central. Mikey has a huge following on YouTube, and he and I partnered up, and now we do this show Mondays with Mikey and Murph. I take the audio portion of that video cast, and then I make it a podcast. And so you're gonna hear us talk really in depth about a lot of Raider stories. That's where we're really gonna get into the weeds on the different topics. So if you're looking for Raider news, you're looking for the analysis type stuff, that's really where we're gonna find it.
Tell our listeners, who is Mikey?
Mikey.
And why would we want to listen to Mikey?
All right, so Mikey Raider. So he's Mikey's. He's been a long-time actor. He lives down there in Hollywood. Long-time Raider fan, and he started this channel called Raider Central once upon a time. And Raider Central just has a huge following. He's got a whole bunch of subscribers on YouTube, and he's a video caster. He's a commenter. He's a personality. He's fun. He's funny. And so he and I joined up, and we do a show together on there. So definitely check us out on YouTube. Again, the channel is On Air Nation. He had to change it because he was under threat of, I won't get into the weeds on it, but he was under threat of the NFL, and so he had to change up some stuff. So it's On Air Nation, but it's Mikey Raider, and it's Murph, and that's Mondays with Mikey and Murph. And then our third show is...
Yeah, tell us about that. Now, it's an actual fan club show. I love them. Man.
You tell us about it. I talk about us all the time. You tell us about the Fan Club Blitz, Uncle Mosh.
Man, it's a fan club show, Splatterhead and Fitz, and... I did the analogy that old SNL when they did their famous one was Sweaty Balls. They did that
the delicious dish. Hey, so Uncle Mosh, tell us about the Fan Club Blitz.
So he was a spoof on PBS radio. Oh, that's nice. Is that nice over there for you? Because it's nice here for me. And these two, I said to you at one point, I said, these guys sound so awesome. What they're just mellow, and they're just having a good time, and they're clean, and it's just, it's clean as far as like it just sounds.
The audio
clean.
Quality, yes,
yes. And they just have a good time, and you go, Uncle Mosh, they're drinking. And I'm like, what? And you're like, yeah, they do their podcast from a bar.
Yeah.
And I love that. And
it's awesome.
They're a fan club, and they talk about fan club stuff.
Yes.
And it could be any fan club anywhere. That's a silver and black fan club, man. And they I listened to the last show that they did, and they had a rival fan, not necessarily a rival fan club, but another fan club president from the Miami area, and it was great. They do some great stuff, and they're fun, and they have a good time, and they're just Raider fans.
Raider fans, that's it.
Yeah. It's a good show.
It's a good show. When
does that go up?
So that shows up now. So right now you're going to get Mondays with Mikey and Murph on Mondays. You're going to get Raiders Fan Radio on Sunday night, essentially. And then you're going to get the Fan Club Blitz on Wednesdays. That's probably going to change in the coming weeks with the onset of the season. We're going to continue to roll with the current release schedule that we have right now, at least for another week or two, but we're going to change up here in a little bit. One last thing real quick before we move on. The Fan Club Blitz guys went to a Kansas City Chiefs bar in New York City.
Yeah.
They marched in representing Raider Nation, and that's going to be their next episode, and that will no doubt be fun and funny to listen to, I'm sure.
They got an invite for that.
Yeah, so it's amazing. So Chuck, he reached out to a handful of different booster clubs. Chuck is Splatterhead that hosts the show. He reached out to a few different fan clubs to kind of join up, see if they were interested in interviewing. He found this Chiefs bar that's in New York City, and so he reached out to the guy and said, hey, we'd like to get together with you and do a podcast. And the guy wrote back, his first response was, first off, go F yourself. Second of all, that sounds like a great idea. So I'm like, that's amazing, right? Like, that's amazing. Like, that just, nothing spells out that rivalry better than that right there.
Last episode, he told the story of he reached out to a Broncos fan club, and he reached out to, maybe it was a New England fan club. Days go by. Nothing. Crickets.
Yeah.
He said when he reached out to the Kansas City fan club, he wasn't done typing,
yeah.
and they were responding. F you and your silver and black. Come on down.
That's right. Yeah, so pretty cool stuff there for sure. So we're excited to hear that and excited to see how everything continues to develop here on Raiders Fan Radio. So thank you again for joining us here on Raiders Fan Radio. Let's go now to our contact information, and we are going to tell you how you can get in touch with us.
All right, boys and girls, pay attention. You got your old Uncle Mosh here with an update. That's right. I got some stuff for you. Take out a piece of paper, a pencil, a pen. Heck, use your pocket knife and carve the info into your dashboard as you're driving down the highway. First off, you need to like us on our fan page on Facebook. That's right. Go to Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Don't forget about the Twitter. You know your old Uncle Mosh, he twits now. That's right. Go to at Raiders Fan Radio. Also, don't forget the Instagram at Raiders Fan Radio. Or what about our website? That's right, RaidersFanRadio.com. Heck, if you want to, you can even email us, show at RaidersFanRadio.com, or call us on the Raiders Fan Radio hotline, 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Don't forget Merv's Fan Cave on the YouTube, where you can get all the show links like the Fan Club Blitz with Splatterhead and Fitz. Find all our stuff on podcast providers like Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. All right, did I hit the time limit? Good.
All right, Uncle Mosh, it is episode number 89 here on Raiders Fan Radio, and we always like to give honor to a player or sometimes a year or something that's, what's the word I'm looking for?
It's relevant to the number.
That's relevant to the number. Thank you very much. So something that's relevant to the number. So this week we have 89, and, you don't got to go too far in Raider Nation to find something that's relevant and connective and instant than with the number 89. When you have one Amari Cooper, right, playing on the outside. Well, he was playing on the outside. Now he's going to play on the outside. Inside, he's going to play all over the place, according to John Gruden. But one of the most potentially dynamic players in all of the NFL, Amari Cooper wears number 89. And so, again, you don't have to go too far. Uncle Mosh, he's only 3 years in. Of course, he's struggled with some drops. He struggled with some hands issues. But outside of that, the guy's already had a prolific career just 3 years into the league, right?
He's got 18 touchdowns.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. He's got 18 touchdowns. Come on. And there were years where you struggled and you still got in your, little tiny career at 24 years old.
24 years old.
And you got 18 touchdowns?
I know. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, come on.
The guy's had two 1,000-yard seasons already, right? He started off his career with back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Fell off a little bit last year, but so did everybody else that wore a Raider jersey last year. So no big mystery there as far as why his numbers were down. Blame Todd Downing, blame Jack Del Rio. You can blame anybody. There's a whole bunch of people to blame. There's a lot of it to go around. But at the end of the day, Amari Cooper's numbers fell off. But I think most of Raider Nation expect him to bounce back and have another.
He might have 18 this year.
18 touchdowns this year. Absolutely. So definitely we want to honor Amari Cooper with number 89. But Mosh, as always on this show, right?
There's a little
more.
Something
There's
else.
a little something else. So before Amari Cooper, there really wasn't a lot of
89
action there wasn't a lot of big names out there, but there was one name that I do feel is relevant. I loved Ronald Curry when he played for the Raiders. Didn't have a long career with the team. Well, I mean, 6 years, I guess he played, but not like a storied career. It was plagued with injuries, but there's no doubt the guy was one of the most talented players from just pure athleticism, maybe that ever wore a Raider uniform. He's a quarterback in North Carolina, was drafted by the Raiders. Came in and played, of course, wide receiver. And, again, if it wasn't for those injuries, he might have gone on and had a lot more prolific of a career. But there was one moment, Mosh. There was one moment that just always resonated as such an amazing moment. It was old school Sunday Night Football. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Bronco game.
The Bronco game, exactly. The Raiders came back, won it late, won the game 25-24 off 2 touchdown passes from Kerry Collins. Ugh.
Of all the people.
I know, right? As Sonny used to say, just because you're named after a girl doesn't mean you got to throw like one. So, on the arm of Kerry Collins, the Raiders scored 2 late touchdowns and win the game 25-24. And the first one of those 2 touchdowns that was caught was by Ron Curry. And now, Curry's in the back of the end zone. Kerry Collins misses him because he's Kerry Collins.
Sure.
But Curry jumps up into the air, spins around to his right-hand side, and snatches the ball with one arm out of midair behind him and makes one of the most gorgeous catches in Raider history in the snow against Denver. And here's what it sounded like.
Redmond goes in motion. Collins to the back of the end zone. Curry, touchdown.
What an unbelievable play. We talked about the athletic ability. This is as good a catch as you'll ever see. Watch this play. Reach up, one hand, catch it. Look at that. Look at that. Now gain possession and control and come down and hold on.
But I'll tell you something about Ronald Curry. When he was in high school, he was the National Player of the Year as a quarterback.
Hey, when you're getting high praise from Joe Theismann, that something spectacular just happened, right, Mosh?
Yeah. And, National High School Player of the Year. So the guy played for the Raiders from 2002 to 2008, got a paycheck from 2002 to 2008, practice squad with the Lions and the Rams after that in 2009, but he only had 13 catches for touchdowds.
Oh, well, 13 touchdowns.
Yeah.
13 touchdowns,
So
okay, yeah.
And
didn't most of those come in 1 year? Didn't he have like 6 or 8 or something in 1 year?
Yeah. So in 2004 he had 6.
Okay.
But we were talking about AC earlier.
Yeah.
Already with 18.
I know, right?
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
this guy got a paycheck for 6 years in the NFL, and he only had 13.
He only had 13.
I
know, right? Yeah. Mari Cooper definitely is putting up some big fat numbers despite what happened last year. So, but pretty cool. So we want to honor both of those guys. Ronald Curry represent. Hey, man, he was great in Madden too, man. I always he was a great Madden player. Porter, and of course, and then right after that's when Moss came, and so Kerry Collins with the big arm and Randy Moss. We're gonna talk a little bit about Randy Moss here in just a second. But so that's it for the players. And now we're going to get into Uncle Mosh. We're going to get into our new segment, which is the 4-minute offense. So let me start off. Let me see. I even made up a new thing here. Here's what our intro is going to be to the 4-minute offense.
We're not posing for football cards now, offense. We're not posing for football cards. Let's play with some speed. Plays on this script of the plays that are coming. Here's the answers to the tests now. Huddle up, huddle up, huddle up.
We're not posing for football cards, Uncle Mosh. It's time to huddle up. Here is the 4-minute offense. We're going to bring you 5 stories in 4 minutes.
TikTok, baby, TikTok.
Okay, you ready? So I'm going to hit the button, and then you want to go first? You want me to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay, all right. I'm going to hit the button now. Uncle Mosh, Giorgio Tavecchio has been cut from the Oakland Raiders, and I think the reason why is that backup Eddie Pinheiro led all draft-eligible kickers in 2017 in an average kickoff distance of 70.4 yards, and only 18% of his kickoffs were returned. He also led that same group of kickers in field goal accuracy at 94%, and he and Johnny Townsend went to school together, and that makes all of our kickers now right-footed.
Nice. And it's good to have your kickers with the kicking from the same foot. Why? Because of who's our favorite person in the whole world?
Andrew DiPaolo, long snapper for the Oakland Raiders. Raiders fan, radio alum.
All right, Randy Moss. We were talking about Randy Moss. Moss thanks the Davis family. He says, and I quote, "To the Raider Nation and to the late Mr. Al Davis, I want to thank you for letting me experience what the silver and black was all about. I'm sorry that things didn't go according to plan, but for my 14 years, I do not regret one day, one practice, one meeting. I'd do it all over again. I love it that much. To the Raider Nation and the Davis family, thank you all for letting me have that experience."
Uncle Moss, was Randy Moss a Raider?
No, Randy Moss was a 49er.
More than a Patriot?
He
Or was it, okay, let me ask you this. If you had to pick a team that he was most known for, if you had to pick between his Vikings career and his Patriots career, which one do you think he identifies more as?
Oh, yeah. He was a Viking.
Viking, right?
Yeah,
Chris Carter, right? That Jake Reed, that whole time.
What I'm getting
Cole
at
Pepper.
is when you got people like, I have to go back to the Ronnie Lotts of the world. You know, I go back even more old school than that. Lyle Alzado cost me money.
When he was a Bronco?
When he was a Bronco.
Right.
That was the last time I bet on the Broncos in that stupid Super Bowl, that Orange Crush Super Bowl.
What you get for betting on the freaking Broncos?
I was in the military. I was stationed at Lowry Air Force Base.
Bought in. You bought into the hype,
drank the freaking Kool-Aid, dude, and it cost me a fortune.
We got a minute and 47 seconds left.
Okay, Worley pleads guilty as expected. Let me just say this. Worley pleaded guilty, and Worley said this: you just have to move on to the next one. I was thankful when I talked to Coach John Gruden on the phone. It was a very passionate conversation. He was understanding. People make mistakes in life. It's not about the mistake. It's about whether you learn from it and what you do continuing to move forward in the future. He's 23 years old, and he's making statements like that. I didn't do that at 23. You didn't do that at 23. Neither one of us was even in college. Neither one of us I had so many failed relationships at 23. I was on my fourth wife, for crying out loud. He's making statements beyond his years. This guy is worth it.
Absolutely, and the Raiders knew what they were getting into with Worley, and he's going to be a stud, and so no surprise there. Good for him.
Go, your Mac facts.
Just the facts, Max. Just the Mac facts, ma'am. The facts. The facts are this. We know that Mac has not participated in any team-related activities. McKenzie and Gruden have stated publicly how much they want Mac to be back with the Raiders. He's slated to earn $13.8 million. The Raiders do not have to give him a long-term extension. Mac has accrued enough seasons to become an unrestricted free agent. The Raiders at any time can seek a trade. The Raiders' defense is in big trouble without him. Mac has the upper hand in terms of leverage. The Raiders can make any contract work in regards to the salary cap with little difficulty, in bold letters. Mac won't need much time, if any, to get into football shape. Those are the facts. Don't believe the rest of the garbage you read.
Let's talk about and let's all root for Markel Lee. One of the best developments for the Oakland Raiders in the early going of training camp has been the play of linebacker Markel Lee. He is He was a fifth-round pick out of Wake Forest in 2017. Tells me he's got brains. He's only 23 years old this October, and at 22 years old, he's a starter with us, and he's not 35, for crying out loud. That's all I got.
We almost did it.
Holy man.
We almost made it through the 4-minute offense. Nice job.
It was Ronnie Lott threw us off.
Always Ronnie Lott. Always Ronnie Lott. So here's what, real quick on that Markel Lee thing there, Mosh. Well, John Gruden only brings in all these old players. So, wait. So we've talked about, so far tonight, we've talked about Amari Cooper.
Who's 24.
We've talked about Darryl Worley.
Who's 23.
We talked about Markel Lee.
Who's 23.
I thought we were old. I thought we had a bunch of old guys on our
We're going to talk
team.
about Ryan Switzer in about 5 minutes.
Please.
He's 23.
This whole idea that the Raiders have nothing but old players or that Gruden is focusing on,
Get over it, people.
It's lame reporting. It's lame reporting. It's like lowest common denominator type stuff. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So don't believe the hype there, Raider Nation. We're in good shape. So there you go. There's the 4-minute offense from Mosh and Murph, and there's the news segment for our show.
This is Andrew DePaula, long snapper with the Oakland Raiders. You're listening to Murph with Raiders Fan Radio. Just win, baby.
All right, Mosh, of course I say that's the only news segment, but that's like our, that's our what's relevant today type.
It was fun. It was a goofy little thing.
It was fun. We'll do that. Yeah, we'll keep up with that. That was a good time. All right, so now we're going to kind of get into a little bit more of the meat of the show here. Thank you to all of you that are joining us on YouTube and joining us here in the chat. Man, got some good messages already. A lot of talk about Mac already. Guys are going back and forth, talking about what they think Khalil Mack was going on with him. Most guys, I think, agree one way or the other he's going to be a Raider forever. Now, what that entails, what that looks like by the time it all shakes out, I think that's remains to be seen.
When you say there's a lot of talk going on, tell our listeners who aren't on the YouTube, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so we're live on YouTube, and so you can join us here on the feed and watch not only the live feed of Raiders Fan Radio, but you can join in the chat here. And so there's a discussion between Ron and Jim and Metal Vault and Devell McGueen, and they're all talking about what they think is going to happen.
And that's usually Sunday afternoons. We usually record this on Sunday afternoons. So if people want to chime in there, they can.
Yeah, and look for us on the YouTubes. Absolutely. All right, so Mosh, so first up here, we're going to get into a little bit of a training camp discussion. We got some clips from John Gruden. We got some clips with Derek Carr. We got some clips with Akbar Gbaja-Biamila. And we got some clips from our own Namone, who is Oakland Vegas Raider. And so first off, we're going to hear from John Gruden, our illustrious leader, on the relationship between Derek Carr and Rodney Hudson.
Rodney Hudson, there seemed to be a period in place 11-11 where he got a good little applause from his teammates, even you personally. What was that about, and what have you made of? I don't know if there's enough to be said about your starting center.
Well, he's one of our captains. When you're in the pivot and you're playing against Gunther, a lot of things change. It looks like they're bringing a blitz to the left, and they're bringing a blitz to the right. They're coming up the middle, and he made a couple calls late in the down that were awesome today. And it's fun going to work with the battery that we have. Derek Carr and Rodney Hudson are showing some really good communication and understanding of our system and what we want to do.
Has there been anything about their relationship on the field that has surprised you since you've been here?
Who's that?
Between Derek Carr and Rodney Hudson.
They're just on the same page. They're very much into football. They love the X's and O's, the strategy and the game planning, the preparation. They put a lot of pride and time into it. And when you let Rodney make the calls, and the only time Derek really fixes it is when he feels like he has to. There's just great collaboration between periods, before practice, and it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being around it.
Uncle Mosh, what do you think about the relationship between Derek Carr and Rodney Hudson? A couple leaders going at it right there, huh?
Gruden said some key phrases there. Fun to go to work. They love the X's and O's.
That's good stuff.
Man. That's awesome stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, I love to hear that. And obviously, Rodney, I would say outside of Derek Carr, he's the captain on the offense.
That's why he's a captain.
And that's why he's a captain. Absolutely. So definitely cool stuff there from Gruden. All right, next up from John, we're going to hear him talk about some old film, Mosh. Lots been said about Gruden kind of living in the past. Well, that's not always necessarily a bad thing.
A couple of the guys, players, were talking Monday about some of the film that you're showing them, not 2017 film, more decades past, some older film, grainy film that's can be hard to see the players sometimes. What's the model in terms of what you're showing these guys?
I'm just trying to make some points, and there were some guys that played the game that were pretty good. I think, I think they love it. They love seeing Barry Sanders. I think they love seeing Joe Montana in a 2-minute drill. I had a couple young guys get up there. They didn't know who Jack Tatum was. They didn't know who Art Shell was. And, part of that is, having a respect for the league you're in and the guys that came before you. So you try to accomplish a lot. You only have them so long. You try to keep their attention span. And all of a sudden, man, there's Dan Marino. Man, I didn't know he had that quick of a release. Geez, he was pretty good. A lot of these guys never heard of Mark Cooper and Mark Clayton. So, I think they like it. You can make some points, show some great routes, and also teach them a little bit about some of the people that came before you.
That was my follow-up question. Some of the concepts from back in those days, how much of it is applicable to the type of plays that you guys are running today?
Well, Landry and Walsh and Chuck Noll weren't bad coaches. They did some good things. And they did some good things from a fundamental drill standpoint, too, and showing guys the drills that Jerry Rice did, showing them how Roger Craig practiced. Those can be great teaching moments. And Look, we're not running a 1964 operation here, but there are some things that happened in 1964 that were pretty damn good. And if you don't think so, go ahead and have a nice day.
I love it how assertive he is, man, with the media and with anybody else when they. But he's right, man. Like, I mean, there's some things about the sport, right? Obviously, a lot changes with the rules, the onset of things, but there are some things. It's still, a little brown, leather football that has to go 100 yards and cross a plane to get in the end zone and score touchdowns, and there's still 11 guys on each side of it, and you know what I mean? Some things are inherently the same, and I think that I love that. So much of what Gruden's regime has been now has been teaching.
He teaches the game, man. He teaches the game, and that's what he's doing, and that's, those people that don't study history are destined to repeat it,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that's really cool stuff, and he should definitely, well, obviously he doesn't need my approval, but he's going to keep up with it, and glad I think Raider Nation should be that he's going to continue on with that. All right, we got one last clip from John. Now, this is kind of a funny one. So, Greg Papa, as we all know, was unceremoniously released from the Oakland Raiders from his duties in calling play-by-play. And, Greg is referred to it as an act of vengeance. He's kind of turning a little sour grapes, and he most recently floated out some ideas that maybe Garyon Conley is not healing and returning from injury because of a vitamin D deficiency. I don't know how you float stuff like that out there. But anyway, so John Gruden was asked about it by also a friend of the show, Vic Tafer.
There's a theory going around about Garyon Conley about vitamin D deficiency. Anything to that, or
really?
That's the. I mean, I hate to do it, but that's the.
Really.
Roger Woodson mentioned it last year, and I guess Papa the other day. So is that something you've heard or discussed about?
I haven't heard that. I've not heard that. What's that? Makes it hard to heal? Is that what it is? Vitamin D? We'll try to get some supplements for him.
So look up, go online and look up vitamin D deficiency.
Don't you get that from going outside?
Yeah, no. That's how you cure it.
You go outside, right?
The way to cure vitamin D deficiency is to expose your bare skin to sunlight, okay, or drink milk. So what's he gonna do? Give him milkshakes at Santa Cruz? Don't go surfing and drink a milkshake. You'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
Rub some dirt in it. Let's go.
Oh my gosh,
Come
unbelievable.
on.
Unbelievable.
Are you kidding
This is
Are you kidding me?
And this is the kind of stuff. Okay, look. Here's my challenge to all of us, Raider Nation. Let's be better. Don't run with this stuff. When you hear this goofy stuff come up, treat it with the amount of whatever that it deserves, okay? These kinds of things, man, like they're of zero. I got in an argument. Mikey and I were almost yelling at each other about a similar story. Like, these things are non-consequential. And the only reason I played it on our show today is because it was funny.
It's a goof.
Because Gruden, the way he handled it, I love it when he says, we'll just get him some supplements. But basically, he's like, really? Like, is this is what we're talking about now? Like, it's funny to me that this stuff actually comes up. So, gosh, Raider Nation, like, please take this stuff with a grain of salt. Don't latch onto it. It is absolutely non-consequential to the story. All right, so next up, we got some more audio for you. This is a big one. You can kind of settle in to this one. Is about a 5-minute clip, but it's worth it. I've actually cut it down. It was much longer. I've cut it down to a 5-minute clip, but it's definitely worth it because we're talking about NFL Network being on set at Raiders training camp. I believe this was their first day of pads, and the NFL Network's been going around to a lot of the different training facilities for the camps, and so they attended Raiders camp earlier this week, and handling the interviews was Derek's brother David and Michael Robinson, and so it's some great stuff in here, so I wanted to play this for you, so settle in, and here we're going to go live to Raiders training camp with NFL Network.
How you been, man?
Oh, man, doing good.
All right, good.
How was the drive?
The drive was great, a little bit longer than I wanted to. Mike Robb was giving me a hard
3
time.
hours
I know, hey, man,
you
look.
You should have just flew here, man.
Some people do it in 4.5. Maybe I cut some time off. Yeah, so it was good, but came to see little brother, see how he's doing.
Yep.
What's it been like? I know it's cooler here than it is in Bakersfield, but other than the weather being very nice in Napa, how's the new offense coming along? How's the first couple days?
Man, it's been awesome. Coach Gruden is so demanding. He's so awesome, but he's also the same guy that'll tell you I love you 100 times. And so, you know, whenever you screw something up, any player, you know, you feel like you're letting your dad down. You know, you feel like, oh man, I'm just letting him down. You know, it's not like he's coming at you in any kind of way. He does a great job of being able to get after rookies, but at the same time getting after veteran players, but still instilling that confidence and encouraging them.
Derek, what's going to be the identity of this offense, man? I mean, what can we expect?
Triple option. We're going to run the wing tee.
They'll never see it coming.
We're going to put Marshawn at quarterback.
You'd love it.
I'm going to play the right wing. And we're
jet sweeps, all of those things.
So anyone who's trying to get any info.
It's on. It's live.
This is what's going to happen.
Yeah, this isn't tape. This is live.
Yeah, so it's fine.
Wing tee. We're gonna have a lot of fun, man. We got a lot of cool stuff that we got off the wing tee action, so it'll be good.
So off the wing tee action, and we'll elaborate on that later. Actually, we'll see some in practice, I'm sure. But how has John been as far as, you know, he's been away from the game for 10 years. He's just been kind of watching it on TV, doing what I'm doing, broadcasting it, sitting in meetings. What has he brought that maybe surprised you, or maybe you were excited about when he first started going through it?
You know, what has been absolutely amazing to me is just all the knowledge that he's gained over the course of his career. You know, and then having a break and just sitting there saying, if I do it again, you know, this is the kind of things that I want to do and all that kind of stuff. I, as the quarterback, get the benefit of all of that knowledge now.
10 years of research.
I'm the one that benefits from it the most. And it is a blessing, man, from God. You know, just all that knowledge, and he wants to share it with me. And he is all the time, man. If we lose or anything like that, he said it's my fault. You know, I screwed you up. You know, it's just like I was like, man,
that's great for a guy to take accountability like that. As a player, it kind of just frees you up.
Absolutely,
you know? That's great.
Yep, just go play free. And but that's the crazy thing is like he is prepared for this. Yep. You know, he didn't know if he was going to do it. He didn't know he was going to come back, but he has prepared just in case, and that just says a lot about him. He's always prepared. Every time I go to the meeting room in the morning, he always has a plan for me to dominate that day.
Talk about some of your new weapons, man. How can you see these guys helping you guys out this year?
Oh my goodness, a lot. You know, I think they heard me say, like, I don't know why certain teams let some of these guys go, you know.
Who could you be referring to?
Yeah, it kind of blows your mind a little bit, but, you know, it is what it is, and I'm glad that they're Raiders because all of these guys show up and you're like, oh, crap, you know, these guys can play, you know. Yeah. Man, these guys are really good football players. And you know, again, we get to benefit from these guys being in a system and in an organization that believes in them, that is behind them, that's going to back them no matter what. And we have a great group of guys, great locker room, and I'm really excited. You know, again, it's anytime you have a new head coach, it's that new, fresh feeling, sure. But at the same time, with Coach Gruden, it's new and fresh every day.
What is a guy like Jordy Nelson meant for the rest of the wide receivers? I know that bringing a guy in, like a veteran guy like that, sometimes people do that in certain situations just because they want that guy just to be in the locker room. They don't necessarily care if he still has the ability. But I think that Jordy, correct me if I'm wrong, still has plenty of ability.
Yes.
But he also is going to be a pretty good role model for those guys.
Yeah, and as you guys will see, man, just being out here in practice, you guys are going to be like, yeah, he can still play. Right. He's still open. He's still open. You know, that's Jordy. But like you said, his knowledge, his wisdom, the things that he's learned, him and Aaron, their connection, things that he liked versus certain looks, and
you think Aaron's called him in the middle of the night?
It's too late. You know, can we expect to see that MVP caliber level this year again? I know you don't like to brag. You're a humble guy, but I mean, you know, you talk about yourself a little bit.
No, we're excited. I'm very excited with where we're at. But at the same time, no one thinks anything of us right now. So we like it like that. You know, and that's kind of the Raider way. We got all these guys, little misfits. You know, Coach Gruden has to deal with a second-round pick as a quarterback. No one wanted him. Everyone's, you know, doubting him. We like those kind of things. You know, and at the same time, none of it matters because we come in every day and we try and dominate that day. I mean, we try and kick Coach Gunther's butt. Like, we want to embarrass him. We want him to feel sick when he goes
I love that.
And that's the mindset that we have together, and that's how we go at it.
Probably could use a Khalil Mack on the other side. That would probably help them.
Yeah.
So I'm saying,
Again,
make that happen before.
Go ahead, just make a call.
I had him at the house, and I dunked on him in the pool.
That might have been what did it.
And I think that's why he didn't show up to camp.
Makes a lot of sense.
I don't know what else is going on. But
It could only be that.
It could only be that reason.
All right, man. We'll let you go. We'll go back to practice.
Love
get
you,
your
man.
meeting in.
Yeah.
Love you too, brother.
Good to see you.
We'll see you later. All right, calling back to you.
All right, there you go. Uncle Mosh, Khalil Mack's not at camp because Derek Carr dunked on him. What do you think about that?
In the pool, yeah. I love what he said early on when they go, what do we expect to see out of you? And he goes, we're going to run the triple option.
Yeah.
Marshawn's got quarterback.
Yeah, great stuff there from NFL Network and the Carr brothers, and, of course, Mike Robinson. Just awesome stuff there. So, man, the other thing that my big takeaway on that was that he alluded to the preparation of John Gruden, and he said that he's been preparing for this for 10 years.
Yep.
You get the sense that, like, Gruden was, like, scheming and game planning and everything, like, every year, like, just knowing that he could just pull the trigger like that at any time to go back to full-time coach. Did you get that sense, too?
Yeah, no, he did. He did, too. He said and he comes in with an attitude where he'll kick you in the butt, but he tells you he loves you 100 times, and you don't want to let him down. It's like letting down your father.
Yeah.
You know? Talking about his preparation, that was crazy.
That was very, very cool stuff. So, all right, so good deal. So that's, as I mentioned, the Carr brothers and Mike Robinson. Next up, we're going to go to Akbar Gbaja-Biamila. Akbar, for those of you that don't know, he was a former player, undrafted, but the Raiders signed him in 04, 05?
Early on, yeah.
Early, played defensive end, outside linebacker, pass rusher type guy. Went on to a few other teams after that, had a 5-6 year career or something like that in the NFL. But most famously now, he hosts American Ninja Warrior, right? And so that's what we know him from. But during the alumni weekend, the same weekend that Pete Koch was at, our guest this week on Raiders Fan Radio, that same weekend, Akbar was there as well, and he provided a live report from training camp, and here's part of that.
Hey, it's Akbar Gbaja-Biamila. I'm here at Napa Memorial Stadium here with the fans. It's alumni weekend. We've got training camp going on. We've got Coach Gruden is back at the helm. We've got a lot of young talent, a lot of old heads too here in training camp. What's some of your memories of some of the old guys that you've seen here?
You know, since we started doing this, it's been getting bigger and bigger. Yeah. And there's a lot of guys that represent a time that were generation when we played together. You know, it's a fraternal brotherhood.
Yeah.
We might not keep in touch with everybody, but when we see, it's like we never lost track of them. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to, and having a chance to sit down and break bread with these guys later on.
Gruden grinder. Have you seen a Gruden grinder out here so far in camp, and have you been impressed?
Well, my eyes are drawn to who's number 56 right now.
Okay.
And that man is a grinder. He's 14 years in. Shoot, got to respect that.
Yeah. What do you think Derek Johnson brings to this defense, and, you know, having a veteran presence like that, having a veteran coach like John Gruden, what do you think he brings to this defense?
Well, he's a ball player.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a Woodson. Dude's going to make plays, and he's going to lead people, you know, with his action and his words. He's an old head, and they're gonna come up under him.
You know, I love the fact that you spot out your old number, and it's like the first thing you do as a former player. You actually go out there and say, "Who's wearing?" I'm looking, who's number 94? And man, a part of you start thinking, "Man, they don't have 94 out there. Maybe they retired it." Not. Two-time Super Bowl winning champion, NFL, Oakland Raider great, Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett, I'm throwing you a hot route right now. All right, all right. I'm throwing you a. Your birthday is December 5th. Your birthday is the day before a great rapper. His birthday is December 4th. I know I'm throwing you off with this one. Give me the rapper's name.
Throwing me off, everybody knows it's Jay-Z. What can I say? I listen to music too.
Okay, so Jay-Z's birthday is December 4th. Yours is December 5th. Let's talk a little football.
Okay.
Can't throw off a two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback.
So both play calls, your spider wide two bananas, and it can get even longer than that. Heck, probably even longer than my last name. Do you have a play call back in your day that was really long that you probably retained and don't know why you retained it?
No, but I know a lot of the plays. You know, red right, 22 on 3, ready break, and that was about it. Today's game, you know, they're very verbose, have a lot of things to say, but you know, the quarterbacks get it down, and I'm sure Derek Carr and the other quarterbacks will pick it up as well.
What the heck is a spider wide two banana anyway?
It's hard to explain unless I have a chalkboard.
Okay.
So anyway, one guy goes this way, the other guy goes that way.
All right, and that's for you fans out there. Jim Plunkett trying to make it as easy as possible.
Very technical.
Watch this. Raider Nation! I'm over here disrupting practice and everything. I'm out of here. Bye, y'all.
All right, great stuff from Akbar there, live from training camp. So, Mosh, I don't know if you caught it there. He's talking to a couple of different players there, and he's talking to Miles Burris. Miles Burris wore number 56, and they were talking about looking out at practice and seeing if you could find your old number. And, Burris mentions Derek Johnson, of course, who's now wearing 56. But really interesting there that he's talking to Miles Burris because that Pete brought up talking to Miles Burris as well. Because Pete brought up, Pete said, he goes, I'm talking to this guy, and he's like, I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking he could still play. Because Miles Burris is not 30. He's probably like 27, 28 years old, but he's Raider alumni at this point. So kind of funny there that Akbar caught up with Miles Burris as well as our guest Pete Koch. But pretty fun listening to him hearing him talk to Plunkett too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and that's such a cool thing about the Raider Alumni Weekend, man. That all these different generations of guys come in, man, and they, where else are they going to get to do that? That's awesome.
Absolutely, and so Mosh, our last training camp report. We have one from an exclusive.
This is cool.
This is actually really, really freaking cool. All right, so I met this guy. His name is Namone. I met Namone on doing a roundtable with Mikey on his YouTube channel. And Namone is much, much younger than I am, probably by like 20 years. But we're from the same neighborhood in San Jose, or one of the neighborhoods. I grew up all over the city of San Jose, but one of the neighborhoods that I'm from, where I played football at Andrew Hill in that neighborhood, Namone is from that same neighborhood.
Oh,
so
nice.
we have had a fun connection there going back to San Jose. Well, Namone also just started working for the Raiders. He's doing not fan day. He's doing game day events, working with some of the fan feature-y kind of things, and I don't know the exact specifics of it, but basically he's on game day staff now for the Raiders, and that includes training camp. And so Namone called in and left us a training camp report, and again, it's exclusive here on Raiders Fan Radio.
That's so cool.
This is very, very cool, fun stuff. So looking forward to hear from Namone and sharing that with you right now.
Hey, what's going on, Murph? This is Oakland Vegas Raider coming live from 2018 Raiders training camp here in Napa. Working the events, pretty cool so far. We got about 800 people in attendance today. A lot of family here. I just saw Derek Carr's wife. I saw a couple of people's family members here. I just want to fill you guys in with some things that I noticed here in practice. They just started team practice right now. They're just doing a little bit of special teams. They'll probably close out with team offense and defense. But on the side, the people that were on PUP list, Donald Penn, PJ Hall, and I believe Eddie Vandross. They're back by the locker room, actually doing some individual drills. They are moving, especially like Eddie Vandross. They are moving, they are exercising, they are getting a workout in. So nothing changed there, but these guys are working, trying to get their self back on the field. I walked by the offensive lineman and noticed that Tom Cable's working on some man blocking schemes that he had there. Saw some surge blocks, and if you guys don't know what the surge combo or surge block is, when two people double team an inside guy, more of a defensive tackle or so, and one kind of shades off and kind of peels off and gets over to the linebacker. So they were practicing that. That is a good sign that they're probably running a man scheme if they're going second level, which is kind of exciting. We want to see Marshawn Lynch do his thing out there in the backfield. Some other things that I noticed today, a lot of the receivers are out here trying to make this team. Griff Whelan was catching everything one-handed. Seth Roberts made a couple plays a day. Not much from Amari and them. They're kind of working out. They'll probably be working with a team when that happens, but they got a lot of the other guys going in there. Dwayne Harris made a nice catch today as well, another one-hander catch that we saw earlier today. But other than that, I've been talking to the fans. They're kind of hot. They're not really feeling it. There's not enough shade. So I asked a couple people questions. They didn't seem like they were too interested and wanted to talk. But other than that, man, I'm just out here having a blast, being close and personal with the players, kind of giving some little hints that I know where they're from, get a little Gator bait chant for Pinheiro and them. A lot of media here today, a lot of fans in attendance, and it's about 85 degrees right now with a little breeze, but the sun's blaring down, so people are getting a little antsy. You got the fans out, you got the water out, everybody's trying to find a little bit of shade. But they got the music bumping, got the crowd going, so it's pretty cool, man. But I just wanted to come out here and show you guys some love and, give you guys a little report from training camp. Again, this is Oakla Vegas Raider. That's Oak, O-A-K-L-A, Vegas _R8R. Follow me on Twitter. Talk to you guys later. See ya.
Awesome job, Namone, with the live camp report. Definitely check him out on Twitter and give him a follow there. Uncle Mark, pretty cool stuff, huh?
Man, that is awesome. It also sounds like he's going to be making the move. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I believe so. In fact, I remember that coming up on the show I did with him, that he's going down to Vegas with the team. So that's going to be very cool. But, yeah, some pretty neat stuff there. I liked him breaking down surge blocking.
Oh,
that was pretty legit, man. That's some good football insight right there. And for him to be able to spot that on the field and know what that is, that tells you, I mean, guys, he's got some football intelligence.
I love
good
what he
stuff.
was saying when he was walking around talking to folks and being able to report that. What he saw and, be able to say, hey, this is what I saw and this is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that was a great job.
Great job, Namone, and keep those coming, man. We're hopefully we'll have some more from Namone at training camp. And Uncle Mosh, that kind of wraps up our training camp spectacular here early on Raiders Fan Radio.
Fantastic.
Nobody enjoyed a good Donnybrook more than sixth-year linebacker Phil Villapiano.
This is Phil Villapiano, and you're listening to Raiders Fan Radio.
All right, next up here on Raiders Fan Radio, we have some more, actually. I just said we wrapped up our training camp spectacular, but we're going to change it up a little bit. We've gone from the reports at camp and the pressers at camp, and now we're going to actually join some of the guys on the field, and we're going to listen to some of the sound. Mosh, listen to some of these. Now, granted, I pulled these from videos, but still, there's something about the audio of football. And when you can hear the speed and the violence of the sport, and it's just awesome, man. I just love this kind of stuff. And so, anyways, first off, we're going to check in with new cornerback Rashaan Melvin.
Boy, I tell you, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. You bang your shoulder pads against the wall to make sure you're good to go.
How are the pads?
Hey, good. They feel better. I feel like they actually my pads. I love new stuff. I definitely love new stuff.
All right, know what time it is. Yeah. We don't have a day off. Let's do our technique and start fast, man. Let's go.
Come on, man. Hey, yo, DB's on 2-1-2.
DB. Bang. Pedal. Bang. Nice job with your eyes. Bring your eyes to the cone. Working the release. Step.
Work. All right.
Go.
3 off the ball. Hey, Reese. In. I got it. Yeah, I was debating because he's so far, he ain't even make a break yet.
Hey, win on three. 1, 2, 3. Win.
Raider Nation, that's for you, baby. It's a wrap.
Love it, man. Isn't that cool? I love it.
Yeah, people need to go on the YouTube and see that video.
You got to go see it, man. It's great. And, of course, I shortened up. It's much, much longer. I cut out a lot of the just the parts of them playing because it doesn't really do a lot on an audio podcast. But just hearing that and hearing the just the speed of the game and the investment and, hearing him joke about getting new stuff, I thought that was pretty good. So
the contact. I love the contact. They used to say basketball is a contact sport. Football's a collision sport.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And these guys are at camp.
Yeah.
Like, this is not games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the speed that they're going at, this is camp speed. This is camp contact. So, I mean, they're just thudding each other is what they call it. They're not wrapping up and bringing guys to the ground. So, anyways, it's pretty cool. It's impressive stuff. And, something else, too, Mosh, about Rashaan Melvin. Little known fact here on Raiders Fan Radio.
Yeah, little known fact.
Conley. Whoop, that was a slip.
Whoops.
When Melvin signed his contract in the offseason, came over, of course, unrestricted free agent from the Indianapolis Colts, the Raiders Fan Radio microphones were there.
They were there.
They were there. And so we have exclusive sound from the negotiation, from the solicitation, negotiation, and ultimately the signing of the contract for one Rashaan Melvin.
Our second exclusive of the day.
Absolutely. That's right. Here it is.
What's your name, baby? Melvin.
Hey, Melvin, you want to make a buck?
You can do this, Melvin. Thank you, Melvin.
Melvin.
And that's how you become an Oakland Raider.
You're so stupid.
Melvin.
Every time we say his name on the show from now on for the rest of the time that he is a Raider, anytime anybody says Rashaan Melvin, that's what you're going to hear.
Who?
Melvin.
We got to get him on. We don't ever need to meet him live, though. He'd kick our ass.
I know. Absolutely. All right, so next up, another one of the camp favorites, at least my camp favorites. Or actually, I'll take that back. It didn't start off that way, but this guy's slowly growing on me. So not only do I have his mic'd up at camp, but he did an interview right afterwards and caught up with some of the media. So I have a few questions there to play.
Who are you talking about? Are you talking about the incredible shrinking man?
Yes, the 5'8".
No. Do you know? Did you ever do any research on him?
On Switzer?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Well, first off, we're talking about Ryan Switzer.
Yeah.
We're talking about newly acquired wideout slot receiver from the Dallas Cowboys who came over this year. In fact, a brilliant move by Reggie McKenzie to get any kind of value.
Yes.
By trading Jihad Ward over there. And so we got Ryan Switzer in trade. He's an electrifying punt returner. The guy is, I forget how many he ran back in North Carolina, but it was a bunch. And so anyway, so that's who we're talking about. So Mosh, tell me more about Ryan Switzer.
Before he signed to go to college, they always do those highlight videos from high school and all that stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So on his college stats sheet,
okay,
he said he was 5'10".
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
So
no, he's like 5'8", if he's
so when
plus.
the Raiders measured him,
he
was 5'8" and a quarter. You know you're short when you add the quarter.
When you add the quarter, yeah.
And that's because he had big hair. I love this guy, man. The incredible shrinking man. If he signs a big contract with us, he might be 5'4" by the time he retires.
Well, what's funny is that in this mic'd up, them getting ready to play again, this is pulled from a video. He's standing, you'll hear there's part, it's kind of funny. He's like singing and rapping a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's standing next to Martavis Bryant when he's doing it. Mosh, he's giving up a foot to him, I swear. He like barely looks like a baby. Looks like a Pop Warner kid standing because he's like at Martavis' shoulder. It's amazing. But anyways, here's Ryan Switzer mic'd up at Raiders training camp.
You want to see what a pro looks like, Coach? Just watch me today. I watch Animal Planet religiously. I'm asking, does the cheetah say, hold on, Gazelle? Hold on, don't run yet. I got to get my calf loose.
Let's go.
Is that what it says? Or does it just spring into action?
Springs into action.
Woo! Man, I ain't scared. Hey, fo, car no cable, angles, fable, I'm showing up for the sunrise, for the sunrise.
I love that
How much
guy.
rapport do you feel like you've built with Derek so far? I think me and him are on the same page. It's kind of hard not to be when you got a quarterback like that, but we've had a great camp so far. I feel like he knows where I'm going to be. I feel like I know kind of what he's looking for, and just trying to continue that camaraderie come season time.
What other slot receivers have you watched or studied like this year?
Recently, I watched Doug Baldwin in college. He was a guy I kind of studied. I liked how Seattle used him, but I'm trying to make my way, as Ryan Switzer, and obviously, I've been able to take some things from Maury and from Jordy, having those two guys to lean on the outside and kind of pick their brain and the experience that they have. So, but really, it's about perfecting my craft and stacking good days on good days.
Given what you did in college, your receiving history, how important is it for you to make a mark as a receiver and not just, okay, he's a returning guy?
Yeah, man, that's big for me. I feel like I need to get back to my ways. I'm a year removed, or going on 2 years removed from being a first-team All-ACC wide receiver, and setting school records. And I feel like last year that kind of just got thrown by the wayside, and really looking forward to getting back to those ways.
Was that something you were looking forward to this year when you still were looking maybe to still be with Dallas?
Yeah, I was ready, and this opportunity presented itself out here, and man, I really can't tell you, this isn't just player speak. I really am excited about the opportunity that I have to kind of put myself on the map, to help this team win, and to show people who I really am as a receiver.
All right, Mosh, couple things there. First off, again, like I referred to, the sound of it, man, the speed. You think you could play in the NFL? Just watch these guys, man, and the intensity of the impact and the violence and the way that they just, this is camp stuff, man. You just hear it. It's amazing to me. It's incredible, the athletic talent that these guys have. But in regards to the player, I really love how he refers to it as a craft. We've heard a lot of this now, of players referring to what we heard Andrew DiPaolo on this show refer to what he does as a craft, and about them honing their techniques and their skills and their mechanics and treating it with reverence of a profession. Is just, it's so cool to hear that kind of stuff. And then one little last thing, I'll throw a little tidbit of info about Ryan, and Ron just brought it up in the chat, and it's funny you mentioned it, Ron, because I have it written down here in my notes. Switzer has the word believe tattooed on the inside of his lip.
No kidding.
He pulls his lip down like this, and it says believe on the inside of his lip. Yeah, and it's just his one way of just reminding himself what his goals are and what his intents are, and to just go out there and just to believe in himself, and get out there and get after it and continue to pursue his dream. So this guy's growing on me, man. I mentioned what the potential he has on special teams, and clearly that's one of the larger reasons that the Raiders brought him in. But if he can bring a dynamic element to our slot receiver position, where Seth kind of struggled a little bit last year, man. And with Gruden's already told us he's going to move guys around all over the place. So we're going to see a Cooper in the slot. We're going to see other guys play in the slot. But, just to have somebody with that kind of versatility, he's just growing on me, man. I'm just becoming more and more of a fan. I didn't really know a lot about him until he signed with the Raiders. But the more and more we learn about him, and more we kind of see what he brings to the table, man. I'm kind of fired up about him. How about you, Mosh?
Oh, he's great, man. You gotta root for that underdog, man. That Rudy, that guy, but in all reality, he's not, because, like he said, he was setting records at school, man.
Yeah.
So he just, it's that next level, and he's got the mindset for it. So yeah, he's gonna be fun to watch.
Absolutely, gonna be fun to watch. So I'm excited about that, as I know Rest of Raider Nation is as well. All right, Mosh, we got one more here now. I've gotten a bad time at times on this show because I love this game, man, and I love so many different aspects of the game. And I really love the quarterback position. I love all the different elements that go into playing quarterback. The athleticism, the timing, the intelligence, all the things about playing quarterback. And so when I look at guys like Tom Brady and I look at Aaron Rodgers, I got, call it a man crush, but I like watching these guys play football, man. The way that they're able to execute the sport is amazing to me.
Right.
And whether now those are the modern day guys, but going back to guys like Marino, heck, even going back to guys like Steve Young. Look, there's no one that hates the Niners more than me, but there was something about watching Steve Young play quarterback, even more so than Montana. Watching Young play, man, was just amazing. And I'm dazzled to this day, but watching people execute that position well is fascinating to me. Now, there is another guy that did it pretty freaking well, and he showed up at Raiders practice. Now, you and I have had a lot of discussions about this guy over the years, and I'm talking about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning showed up at Raiders training camp this week for various different reasons, mainly because he's buddies with Gruden, he's buddies with Reggie McKenzie, and he can provide some excellent mentorship to our young quarterback, to our young quarterback, Derek Carr. But this guy was a Bronco, and you and I had a lot of talks about him because you like Peyton, like I just rhapsodized about those other guys. You kind of felt that way about watching Peyton, and he's a Tennessee guy, which is where we live. And so you always liked him, but he was a Bronco. And we would go back and forth. And I'm like, you can't root for him because he's a Bronco. And you're like, but he's a great quarterback. Well, I hear the same thing when people criticize me about Tom Brady. Like, you can't root for him. He's a Patriot. I'm like, yeah, but he's great. So tell me what you think a little bit before we play the audio. And we'll get the audio here in a second. But tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are having this guy who's really, he kicked our as a Bronco. He whipped the Raiders every time we played him.
Same way Lyle Alzado did.
Expand.
It's that same mentality, okay? I don't look at Peyton as a Bronco. Peyton was a cult.
Peyton was a cult.
Peyton was a cult, dude.
Yeah,
Peyton was a cult. But and the problem is that you hated him when he was a cult.
I did.
I remember one time we watched him in a Super Bowl in this very room. No, it was in the old house. In the old man cave.
Yeah.
I even took a Sharpie and wrote Pepe on the wall. On your fresh paint, and I didn't care. You say what you get. You won't go pee during a game again.
No, I don't. I won't go Pepe when Pepe's on TV.
I love him because I love his Tennessee connection. And I'm from the Bay Area. I graduated high school in San Jose. I'm a Bay Area guy, but where I live, I like to support what I do. And Pepe was playing for Tennessee when I was living out here, man, and I dig him. I like the Tennessee connections. We got another Tennessee connection.
Well, hold on. We'll save that. Let's listen to Peyton, and then we're going to go back because it is interesting because he was wearing a Tennessee hat.
Absolutely.
At the practice. And so let's hear what we're talking about here. We're talking about Peyton Manning at Raiders training camp, talking with Derek Carr, Marshawn Lynch, all those guys. It's great.
You see, I stole your warm-up.
I like that. Have a little routine.
But that's,
you know what I mean?
I had the one, but
just to throw.
No. I would try and place them.
Yeah.
But now just having a warm up, get everything activated.
Yeah.
Feet, everything.
Yeah.
It's nice.
You been to anybody else before? You been to the house or any of these other guys? Or yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Nope.
I've never. Eli went one time and he took certain parts of it. I didn't take it all. But I think you just find a routine that works for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's just good to have I was just a routine guy, you know what I mean? Just kind of puts you in the right frame of kind of, game day, get your routine. And I think too many guys are out there just kind of winging it and trying different things. I'm going to try this week. Or just, you know what I mean? I think film study. So, what's up, buddy? Film study, schedule, all that. Just having that routine, put you on that schedule, just makes you feel ready.
Because I'm such a big routine guy when it comes to studying.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Good, man.
Thank you, young fella.
Good to see you, man. Everything good? Yeah, good to see you. How you feeling? Oh, good. What got me is when I was the last couple of years in Denver, a couple of players come up and tell me, I love watching you play on some of those ESPN Classic games.
Oh, dang.
Ain't nothing worse than most of the guys in my room I used to watch you when I was in elementary school.
Feeling good? Like the new system? Yeah, it's good. It'd be good for you.
Yeah, I got a cheat code. Right here.
That's what I'm saying.
Marshawn, go left.
I don't have to learn no plays.
He'll help you. I was talking about, his ability to check and get out of bad plays. You can run into some good looks and stay out of, running into
we got to check.
8-man fronts.
We got to get him to check to a run, though.
We can talk about that today. Yeah.
Check out of a pass to another pass.
Yeah.
Check out of a run to a pass.
Yes. Anything we can do to make you not get the ball.
Anything that stop me from running the ball, he's with it.
Good location.
What do you think?
Good, yeah, it was good.
Same?
Make it look the same, yeah.
Yeah. He's the best at it. But if I want to know how to ask for help, I come ask you. When
you watch that film, it's almost like you want to pause it. It's almost like you want to, don't know which one's which, and pause it and see if you can tell, hey, this is the run of the pass. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But by those, before, those first three steps, that's what you're looking for. That's what he's seeing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like guys get fast on the pass plays, on run plays they're a little slower. Like you want to kind of have that same timing on both.
Gotcha.
He's the first read. Instead of kind of letting him read him, I think it's like, hey, I'm throwing it to him.
Right.
Until he takes it away.
Completely.
Circle route.
Yes.
Go in the circle.
Until they.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Don't guess on both ends.
Yep. Yeah, I like that way better.
You know what I mean?
Nice and quick.
Yeah.
Yep. Set.
Sutton. Yes.
There you go. Peyton Manning at training camp. Uncle Mosh, if I'd have told you 6 years ago that David Carr's little brother, Peyton Manning, and Marshawn Lynch would all be on the field at a Raiders practice at the same time, what would you have thought?
I'd have said, wow, did they open it up to anybody to come watch?
Isn't that crazy?
That is so
That's
cool.
crazy,
and I love the respect that you can hear in DC's voice, man.
Yeah.
He kept saying yes. And you know he had to stop himself from saying yes, sir.
Yes, sir. yeah.
You know, especially after he and Marshawn were talking about everybody referring to him as the old guys.
The old guys.
You know,
yeah.
when he said, "How you feeling?" When he says it to Skittles, "How you feeling?" And he says, "Old."
Marshawn get him to check out of runs into passes so he doesn't have to run the football.
That's another one that people need to go and they need to pull it up on YouTube and watch it. It's amazing. It gives me chills to watch it. To think of the influence that Gruden has and the respect that he can get somebody like Pepe to show up and say, "Hey, just talk with my quarterback." You know, that's
just watch him for an afternoon and give him some feedback.
Crazy.
It's amazing. Those teaching moments that we heard in there, you know, just incredible. And, you know, I thought was really cool is that Carr is so good at having respect for those older guys.
Yes.
And not just him, but Marshawn as well. Because when you hear him say in that one line where he says, "I know who to go to ask for help," he's not talking about Peyton.
No.
He's talking about Marshawn.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so just that dynamic of learning that's at Raiders camp and the fact that you got somebody who's one of the all-time greatest to come in and do it, man, it's incredible. It's just incredible. And so, you know, kudos to Gruden, kudos to Peyton for being willing to do that again, because you're talking about, I mean, one of the more heated rivalries in all of sports is Broncos Raiders. And this guy was, you know, like I said, responsible for so many losses and rough times for us on Sundays, that for him to show up and mentor Derek, I just think is really, really awesome. Now, before we played the clip, Mosh, you were getting ready to tell us about some more Tennessee Connect. It's interesting. There's a lot of Tennessee Raiders / Oakland connections, isn't there?
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, the AAA ball club, the baseball club for the A's, for our beloved Oakland A's, is the Nashville Sounds.
Yes.
And so within the last, like 48 hours, we had a player here local for the Sounds. Ramon Lariano got called up, and last night hit in the bottom of the 13th inning against the Tigers, dinged one to the fence and scored the winning run.
Awesome.
And it was this walk-off single, and it was amazing. And, of course, the benches cleared like it was a brawl, man. You know, the A's were out there, and they were pulling off his jersey and slapping him with shaving cream. I mean, just having a ball with it. And it's just, you love to see a player do that. And, of course, we try to claim it because the Tennessee-Oakland connection.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
It was fun for us.
Well, you know, when the Sounds got first named, because we're diehard Oakland A's fans, and when the Sounds were named to be the new affiliate for the A's, I was like, holy crap. I'm like, how awesome is that? And we got a brand new ballpark right downtown. So a lot of these guys, like you mentioned, Lariano, or also recently Nick Martini was called up to play for the A. We've seen these guys play.
Yeah.
We saw Sonny Gray pitch on rehab. I've seen Josh Reddick play out there. I've seen Barry Zito play out there. We've seen a lot of A's players that have come through. Heck, we've had Ricky Henderson signing autographs out there at First Tennessee Ballpark. So a lot of A's connections for sure here with our Nashville Sounds. And so very, very cool stuff. And a lot of, and then we mentioned loosely there, but it's worth repeating. Gruden's wife went to the University of Tennessee. I believe she was a cheerleader there, is definitely tied into the program. Reggie McKenzie, our boss, the boss of the Oakland, not our boss, but the boss of the Oakland Raiders, that general manager, he went to University of Tennessee, played football at University of Tennessee. His son played football at the University of Tennessee. Gruden was, until he took the Raiders job, was that close to becoming the next UT head football coach. There's a lot of connective tissue there between these two organizations and these two regions.
And Peyton Manning was part of the recruiting committee.
Yes.
That was having talks with Gruden about that.
Absolutely. Very, very close to getting Gruden even at UT. But thankfully, hey, if it was going to be at UT, I'm sure as heck glad he rejoined our Oakland Raiders. So anyway, some pretty cool stuff there. All right, we're starting to get a little bit short on time, so we're going to go ahead and put a pin in this one. And next up, we're going to talk to our buddy, Pete Koch.
Hey, just one time, I need it.
Raiders Fan Radio.
All right, Uncle Mosh, certainly the theme of today's show has been Oakland Raiders training camp. We've checked in with a lot of former players, a lot of current players. We've got on the field. We've heard from the coaches. We're now going to get it from a firsthand perspective, a one-on-one interview with good friend of the show, Pete Koch. For those of you that don't know who Pete is, Pete was an early round draft. In fact, he was a first-round draft pick, drafted number 16th overall in the 1984 NFL draft. Went on to a prolific career in the NFL. Faced some injury challenges the latter part of his career, but ended up playing for the Oakland Raiders in 1989, and since then has embraced Raider Nation, has embraced the persona of representing the Raiders, and does a fantastic job at it. Pete is also a very well-known actor. Been in a lot of movies, probably most famously the movie Heartbreak Ridge, where he appeared as Big Swede Johansson, and has done tons of TV shows and whatnot. But anyway, so that's who Pete is, and this is the second time we've had Pete join us here on Raiders Fan Radio, and we wanted to catch up with Pete because he was part of the alumni weekend, and so he tells us a nice firsthand account about not only being at the facility and being around the coaching staff and being around the players, but being around the alumni, having conversations with the alumni, and it's just great stuff. So hope you enjoy it. For those of you that are on the podcast, you'll hear that right now. And so without further ado, here's our interview with Pete Koch. All right, Raider Nation, I am now joined by a man who is a standout defensive end at the University of Maryland, drafted number 16 overall in the 1984 NFL Draft. He went on to a 6-year career in the NFL, finishing up with the Los Angeles Raiders. Went on to a very successful acting career and now trains some of Hollywood's elite as a premier personal trainer. Welcome back to Raiders Fan Radio, Pete Koch. Welcome, Pete.
Hey, Murph. Good to be with you. I love that introduction. Thank you.
I tried to shorten it up from last time.
Straight to the point. I appreciate you.
Well, hey, speaking of that, straight to the point, Pete, let's jump into it. You know, we wanted to have you back on here on Raiders Fan Radio to talk a little bit about Raiders training camp. We know that you attended camp and were part of the alumni group that was honored this past weekend. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, first of all, what the Raiders do, I played with 3 teams during my span with the NFL, not only the Raiders, but also the Chiefs and the Bengals. And, in many respects, that works to my advantage because I got a chance to experience these different cultures. And I also, having been a former chapter president of the NFL Retired Players Association here in Los Angeles, I've got player friends, NFL player friends representing just about every team in the NFL. And I want to lay that groundwork and let the folks know that what the Raiders do and have been doing for the past 4 years with their Raider Alumni Weekend is really special. And nobody else is doing it. What they do and what I was a part of last weekend was invited up to the Napa Valley Marriott, where the Raiders have been holding their training camp for, 20 years. Back when I played for the Los Angeles Raiders, we used to hold it. If we had a similar situation, we would have our training camp in Oxnard, California, just 40 miles north of L.A., and we would take over a hotel and then convert, a huge parking lot was converted into 4 football fields. And the Raiders have done the same thing when they moved back up north. And what they do is, for the last 4 years, they've tethered inviting the alumni, such as myself, and they don't care how long you played with the team. In my case, it was 1 season, and Jim Otto was up there. How many years did he play with the Raiders? I don't even know. It's like 16 or something, but he was there. So they invite everybody up, and the Raiders pick up the tab and pay for your hotel room, and they pay for the food, and they put on an absolutely incredible event, and part of the event, fantastic food. They take you out to these incredible wineries. It's absolutely an amazing, positive opportunity and experience for guys like me to reconnect with teammates and meet guys that played in different eras. I had dinner, for example, sat there for an hour and a half at this beautiful outdoor setting, one of the most beautiful vineyards in Napa, California. And I sat and talked with Ted Hendricks for 2 hours and his beautiful wife. That to me, that's a thrill. And so that's how classy the Raiders organization is. If there's anybody who doubts how Mark Davis is doing things and trying to make this organization as good as possible, I'm here to tell you that what he's doing is outstanding. And the other part of that, let me just jump to say, we all had, all of us alumni, there was about 140 former Raiders up there, had a chance to visit a little bit with Mark Davis, and who introduced John Gruden, who gave a lunchtime in between practices, a lunchtime, took out from his pressing schedule, but he addressed the alumni and gave an absolutely energized kind of a pep talk, and just said, hey, listen, have some patience and believe we've got this thing squarely back on the rails, and just be. And he wanted to foremost say that once a Raider, always a Raider, and that the Raider family is the greatest in the NFL.
Wow.
Powerful stuff.
Wow. Well,
yep.
Golly, there's so many things I want to ask you about there. Let's just start off, since you mentioned Gruden. There's a great picture on your Instagram of you and Coach. Gosh, Pete, looks like you could still play, by the way. But that interaction, so Gruden, taking the time to speak with you all, and I know he broke you guys down in a huddle and a gathering of all that. That's not common, right? Like that's unique to the Raiders and this particular event, right? We don't see that anywhere else in the NFL, do we?
Yeah, no, that is certainly not standard operating procedure for NFL head coaches. And it's the rare guy. But, if in case there's any doubt, I mean, when Mark Davis signed, going back now several months, and signed Gruden in the offseason to take over, so Jack Del Rio, my former Kansas City Chiefs teammate, but things weren't going Jack's way, and it just didn't look like he was going to be able to right the ship. So he's gone, and they signed John Gruden. But that was a big, long contract, right, for John Gruden. It was an extraordinary commitment to him. I believe it's a 10-year deal. Now that I've spent some time there, I get it. Because as difficult as it can be at times, you've got to employ delayed gratification. You have to be in this thing for the long run. And that was a statement to the organization, and I hope the fans understand it. 2 years from now, they're going to be playing their home games in Las Vegas. That stadium is going to be amazing, and that experience, I think, is going to be world class. And so, okay, got to hold on for a couple of years to get there. It's been talking about it for 3-4 years, and now it's going to take 2 more years. And this team is going to take some time to build. And it all really is revolving personnel-wise around their quarterback, Carr, who's I think coming off of a little bit of a down year, but part of this head coaching change was with an emphasis to get the right head coach, coaching the quarterback up to his potential, right? Because that's what coaches do, right? So here's the thing. All coaches, as a player, as a professional athlete myself, I will tell you this. All you can hope for from your coach is that they can help position you for success. Can't make a play, can't make a throw, can't make a tackle, can't do any of that. But their impact on creating you the opportunity to position you to make plays, that's all you can hope for. John Gruden has a astounding reputation as being the guy that can do that, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, whatever he's got, and turning that into the best possible quarterback situation. He's got a guy with a lot of talent right now, and we shall see. But that's why this Enormous commitment was made by the Raider leadership to John Gruden to be there. He's going to be there a long, long time. No panic. There's lots of work to be done with the Raiders personnel, and they've been very, very busy and active in the off season. And meeting John Gruden, it was just really reinforced in me that he's all in, and it's going to be exciting. It might take a little bit of time to get to the top of the AFC West and the AFC Championship game. I don't know that that's in the cards today, for this year, but we all understand that that it really feels like the potential is there right now.
Well, wow, that's awesome. I think Raider Nation is definitely encouraged by what direction the team is going in, and you also mentioned the pending move, and you mentioned spending time with Ted Hendricks. Ted's one of those guys that was a Oakland Raider and then became a Los Angeles Raider. You played for the Los Angeles Raiders. What was the talk amongst the alumni group with the move? Is it kind of par for the course because it's the Raiders and we've been through this before, or what were the kind of the thoughts on Vegas? What were your all's conversations around that?
I think it's excitement over having a real stadium. I was talking to a couple of my buddies, Raider alum that now live in Vegas. One is Lyndon King, great linebacker, and he recently moved to Las Vegas, and he's going to be a part of he's the local chapter president currently of the NFL Alumni Association. And he's telling me that he was telling these guys at his meetings. I believe he said that there's 300 or 400 former or Raider alumni that live in Vegas, and he's going to get those guys organized and mobilized because there's going to be an increasing synergy between the Raider organization and the local alumni in all kinds of marketing. And he said Lyndon believes it's going to be very, very powerful and very beneficial for everyone involved. And then there's Napoleon McCallum, the running back, Navy man, and running back for the Raiders. He has lived and worked in the casino entertainment industry for 20 years. Met him and his beautiful wife. And, there's certainly going to be synergy. That's already, I don't know what stage that's in, but it's going to be very, very exciting. So there's going to be people every single solitary weekend from all corners of the United States going to Vegas to see a Raiders game, either because they're coming from Boston because they love the Patriots, or coming from Denver because they love the Broncos, or Kansas City Chiefs fans, or Raider Nation, which goes coast to coast. They'll be getting on a plane from Tennessee and to Vegas because they can go and see the Raiders and catch a show. I mean, what's better than that? So it's going to be absolutely epic. And here's the thing that joins, to your point, Ted Hendricks, all the way up to the guys that were playing with the Raiders just a couple of years ago. Because we had I met a young guy. He's so young. I was like, he looked like he's still on the team, but he goes, "No, I was with the Raiders." His name, Miles, forget his last name, but he says, I was on a team.
Miles Burris.
Yeah, right. So he goes, I was on a team in 2013, 2014. Anyway, we're fast friends. So you got guys all the way from Jim Otto to Miles.
Wow.
And here's the thing we all share. None of us played in a memorable stadium. Really, we played in two Coliseums, right? Up Northern California and Southern California. And isn't it time? I mean, isn't it time that a world-class professional sports organization had a world-class stadium? They're 2 years away from it, and that's what's exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great way. I love that perspective, Pete, and I think that's definitely something Raider Nation can latch onto. And you're right. I mean, it's time. It's time, and it was time when Al Davis was pushing for it, and it's certainly time now. And so obviously, everybody's got a preference on where they would want that thing to be, but it's going to be in Las Vegas, and I think that it's nice to hear that everyone is embracing that, including the alumni group. So amongst the team, so there's some pretty gregarious personalities, right? And that list of alumni that were there, anybody stand out to you that was kind of the life of the party in your gatherings?
Well, I'll give you two. I'm biased because of the guys that I played with, but I'll give you two guys that no matter what room you put them in with Raiders from the 60s into the 2000s, it doesn't matter. But Jerry Robinson, one of the great linebackers and a great UCLA Bruin, he just takes over the room. He's got a great personality. He's very positive, real big. My story, and I told him this when I first signed with the Raiders. So picture this: I am living in LA. I had been released by the Kansas City Chiefs. I had 3 orthopedic surgeries, and everybody had me counted out. I was like, man, oh man, how do I convince somebody I got something left? And I got a call from the Raiders, and they were just, down their practice facility. They played in the Coliseum, and here I am living in Santa Monica, and they're just down the street at their practice facility in El Segundo. And I got a call, and I think it was February, March, I guess. And it led to a meeting with Coach Al Davis, and that led to them signing me. And after I signed, they said, okay, the off-season workouts were really informal back then, but they said, we'd love to see you come down to our weight room here at the practice facility. I said, yeah, for sure. So the next day I jump in the car, I drive. They said, come on down anytime between, 8 in the morning and 11 or something like that. So I drive down there, and who's the first? I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. So I first person I run into is Jerry Robinson. And he just put his hand out and gave me a big smile. He says, welcome to the Raiders. That was my first contact with this new team. Yeah, and shortly after that, I remember meeting, and the guys that the guys that were always working out in the off season. It was Matt Millen and Howie Long and Willie Galt, who's still a friend of mine. I see him at the gym all the time, and then Lyndon King. And these guys just had a great attitude. And the other guy that again, he was a new addition to the defensive line was Bob Golick. And Bob Golick, he's the other guy that I was going to mention. You talk about another guy that can take over the room. Bob Golick's had his own. His brother has, of course, Mike Golick has got a radio show, but Bob has a radio show in Cleveland, where he's from, and he was great. He was the funniest guy on the team then, and Bob Golick is the funniest guy in the room today. So these guys all came back to the alumni weekend, and that's all what makes it so meaningful. Is these really warm personalities, and these guys haven't changed, and they're still, committed and enthusiastic about the prospects of the Raiders. And Jerry Robinson, he lives up north, so he goes to all the home games. Bob Golick's naturally in Ohio, so a little bit different for him, but it's just great to catch up with these guys, and they all have a deep love for the Raider way of doing things, and it comes through at these events. It really does.
Ah, that's awesome. So cool. So of the weekend, so you have all this time together. Do you all then get a chance to talk with the current players? Do you get to watch practice? Are you able to, do you guys go to meetings? Like what do you think of the team now, and what were you able to take away? And
well, the way they set up this weekend for everybody is you get there on a late afternoon on Friday, and you get checked in, and they put out some great food for everybody, and you get to meet people. And then Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, we all head over to watch practice. And they've got in this particular case, the way they did it, this was John Gruden's idea to have I didn't get the reason why, but I sort of understand it. Instead of practicing at the local Raider practice facility, which is open to the public, and there's generally like, I don't know, a couple of thousand people. He decided to have the first practice. I think it was just a one-off. I'm not sure. The first practice was held at Napa Valley High School, which has a phenomenal football stadium. I'm going to guess there were 4,000 or 5,000 Raider fans there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Wow. And they had a section roped off, and they had the music going, and they were, I don't know, selling T-shirts, and they had a section roped off, you know, for the alumni. But everybody was signing autographs, and all kinds of Raider fans with stuff they were, you know, requesting, you know, autographs and things. But it's a real family environment. Also, lots and lots of kids, lots of people wearing the Raider gear, lots of kids, and just an outstanding environment. So they, we all took in the first about 2.5 hours, watched the first practice. They weren't wearing pads. It was just an overview of what the guys were trying to do. Couldn't read a lot into it, you know. I wouldn't even want to comment like on the talent that I saw, except, hey, you know, they kicked it off. They got the thing going. And I think Coach Gruden wanted them in the big stadium. The energy was great. And I think now he'll put them on a more regular schedule. But like I said, they got a lot of work to do. There's been enormous changes to the roster. We all understand that. And an entirely new staff, right? New language, new vernacular, new way of doing things. And they're off and going. So it's exciting.
Nice. Good deal. Pete, after your football playing career, actually, as I mentioned earlier, during your football playing career, you went on to a successful acting career, and they all kind of started with your appearance in the Clint Eastwood movie Heartbreak Ridge, right? You had a role in that movie as Big Swede Johansson. We talked at length last time we had you on the show about kind of your experiences with that movie, but there was something else that came up since we last spoke that I want to throw out there to you. I watched the movie again not long after we did the interview last time. And in the closing credits of the movie, as Marsha Mason and Clint Eastwood walk off into the sunset and they pull back the camera there at the hangar there, the Air Force Base.
Yeah, El Toro, Air Force Base, right.
Do you know that there's a Raiders logo on one of the buildings as your name is scrolling through the credits?
No, I never knew that.
Okay,
How crazy is that?
We do this segment on our show called Murph's Black Hole of the Internet, and I'm going to do a whole entire feature on this episode. But just to give you an idea of what it is, there is a Marine Aerial Refueler Transport Squadron called the VMGR 352. And in the early 80s, they decided to rebrand and have a little bit harder edge to them. And at the time, this was in the early 80s, coming off the heels of the Raiders winning the Super Bowl in 83 or 84 on the calendar. And they reached out to the LA Raiders, and the LA Raiders approved the usage. And the logo, Pete, is a shield with the word Raiders and 2 crossed sabers and a picture of the airplane. And I swear to goodness, when you look at it, right there, it's plain as day. It says Raiders, and your name's right there scrolling past it. Pretty cool stuff.
Wow, that's bonkers. I love it. I don't know what to say.
I was just watching and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, that's kind of a unique connection. So we're gonna do a little feature on that. It'll be pretty fun to detail out. And there's a whole list of reasons why they shifted to that Raiders image and whatnot. But anyways, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, this isn't conspiracy theory stuff, right?
No, this is real. Yeah, this is real. In fact, I can send you a screenshot of it when we hang up.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So Pete, in addition to obviously being an actor, you're committed to health and wellness, and you help people out. You do videos on your Instagram, and people send you in their situations and things to help increase their overall health. And what can you tell our listeners? What if somebody that, give us something to start with. If someone's just starting to look at, maybe wanting to get in shape, maybe making some lifestyle changes, what advice would you give to somebody that's just kind of starting off on that process?
Yeah, get moving and do it every day. And some of the myths that I'd like to help people to just absolutely get rid of is, don't worry about overtraining. You're not going to exercise too much. You're not going to get hurt provided you're not doing something silly. Our body is resilient. The human body is one magnificent, resilient. We are not paper mache. We are a resilient species. We wouldn't have lasted this long if we weren't tough. And what's happened is we've gotten into babying ourselves. But trust, no matter what condition that you're at now, that you can improve upon it. I was talking earlier today with a woman in her mid-50s who's gotten overweight, and she's, I'm sorry, okay, what are you doing for your physical fitness? This is typical. So here's somebody who's 20 pounds overweight, is middle-aged, and she's decided that, and again, this isn't a criticism of her, but she's decided she's going to go on some kind of a combination of a run and a walk. Well, she'll sort of jog until she can't, and then she slows down to a walk, and then she jogs again for 5 miles, 5 days a week. This isn't going to help her, and she doesn't. Now, naturally, she doesn't feel good. Well, but I don't feel good. I don't know if I can maintain this, and I don't know. I'm not getting any results. I'm not seeing any changes. Her intention to change to that commitment is quite a. I mean, at best, she's probably doing a mile in maybe 12, 13, 14 minutes. 5 miles, it's well over an hour. She's committing probably an hour and 20 minutes a day. She's committing to her physical fitness. The problem is it's not the right strategy. So the first part of this is believe that you can do things and believe that you can make a change, but align that, and hopefully you do feel like you can get things done and you are willing to put in the effort, but align yourself with a professional to help you make the right moves, because who likes to waste that much time? At the very least, she's wasting time. At the worst, she's actually making herself worse when she complains of knee and back pain. One of the things that I try to do with my Instagram page, you can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. It's all listed, Pete Koch, Petekoch. You just go to my website, 8 letters, all you got to remember. And what I try to do is, right, so and this quote is powerful. And this is what I stand by, and it was Einstein who said this: try not to be a man of worth, but rather a man of value. Value. So in this day and age of selfies and people putting pictures of themselves incessantly, I'm not judging that. That's fine. Make a picture of yourself. Put it on the interweb. Good luck. Nice. However, there's a place in this world, right? Do you like to learn something? If you're 1/10, if you have let me be the curious guy. If you have 1/10 of my curiosity, hang around me for 2 minutes and you're going to learn something. And in fact, more so than calling myself a trainer or a strength and conditioning coach or a fitness expert. And by the way, I'll wear all those hats and take pride in it. But call me an educator. Call me a teacher. Call me a coach. That's really what I am. So if you go and follow me on social media, I promise you, if you just scroll through a little bit and pull up any video, you're going to learn something. You'll learn something. Maybe it makes you just a little bit better. Maybe you knew it already. That's fine. Maybe I'm reinforcing something about physical fitness that you already knew. Great. Or maybe you're going to learn something new. But if I can help you, let me know that I can help you. Nobody succeeds in isolation. Like I said, as a professional athlete, we need a coach. I didn't just do it on my own for 6 years in the NFL. I had a coach. I had a bunch of coaches. People helping me in the strength room, people helping me as a positional coach, a defensive corner, helping me with my alignment, my reads. We all benefit from having a coach. We don't go through life in isolation. I'm the guy that's here to help most folks, not so much professional athletes, but actually most folks. And most folks are in that same struggle. They're a little bit overweight. They don't have the energy that they would like to have. They don't have the vitality in their life that they would like to have. What's it take to fix that? Diet and exercise, really. Don't go to medicine is the last option. That's not my field. I hope that you go and try to fix this and improve yourself through diet and exercise long before you go see your doctor. Don't go see your doctor. That's not what they're experts at. It's diet and exercise. So if I can help you in any way, go ahead and check me out. I give out advice 30 seconds at a time, absolutely free. And that's what I do. And that's what I'm passionate about. I'm trying to be a man of value. And let me know if I can help.
That's awesome. Fitness coach Pete Koch. He is at Pete Koch. That's Petekoch. Look for him on Instagram. Look for him on Facebook. I love it. All you got to do is remember 8 letters, and you got his website. That's fantastic. So you definitely look him up. The videos are great. You know, I'll tell you one. You know, I work out myself semi-regularly, and when I go to the gym, and we have a local Gold's gym that I go to, and you know, one of your videos, I remember you said empty the tank, and I remember, and now every time I go, that thought pops into my head: empty the tank. Keep going until you get to that muscle fatigue point, and that's something that I would have never have thought about before, not on my own, and if I wasn't for watching your videos. And so now I do. I empty the tank, and so I think it's great advice on there, and I love the fact that it's in small bites, it's small snippets, so people can see it, they can retain it, and then apply it to their day to day. It's great stuff, Pete.
Thank you, Murph. I appreciate it.
Anything else we can promote before we let you go? You got a movie coming out soon. Rusty Tulloch, is that you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. If you follow me on social media, I've got a movie. I'm a very important supporting role in this film called Rusty Tulloch. It's a film I'm very proud of, and that'll be coming out across the sort of modern platforms of Apple Movie, of video on demand, that kind of thing. It stars Eric Roberts and Steve Bruns and myself and a few other actors you'll recognize, and it's really good fun. In this day and age, where you need a movie that's got a little bit of action, a little bit of fun, and Rusty Tulloch is going to be the movie for you. But follow me on social media. I'll let you know about that. The other thing that I do is I'm increasingly being asked to join people and organizations in public speaking, to get in front of companies, to spread the word. You know, companies are in a mad dash to have physically fit and healthy employees. We'll call it under the umbrella of wellness. Because why? Because these big companies, small companies, any size companies, their health insurance bills are staggering. But if they can have healthier employees, two things happen. Their company gets cheaper to operate, and here's the really beautiful part. Healthy employees are more productive employees. And they're all in the business of we live in a capitalistic society. Not only do we want the companies want you to be a productive employee, but guess what? Isn't it nicer to be more productive at home? I bet your spouse would like you to be as productive as you could possibly be, right? And your kids. So that's all good. So I go out and talk to people. There's a company called Speaker Buzz, Speaker-Buzz. That's the company that represents me there. But increasingly, I'm getting out of Los Angeles to go and meet with companies and talk to them about the importance of physical fitness. It benefits everybody. It's a personal accountability. As Coach Al Davis would say, it's a commitment to excellence.
I couldn't think of a more perfect way to end an interview than with that. We really appreciate you joining us back here on Raiders Fan Radio and giving us all those firsthand accounts of training camp and whatnot, what's going on with you and your career. And we'll look forward to continuing to follow your successes as we carry on. And thank you so much for spending some time with us here on Raiders Fan Radio.
Yeah, Murph, my pleasure. Go Raiders.
All right, Uncle Mosh, there's our interview with Pete Koch, the one and only fitness coach, actor, former Raider, NFL alumni.
Educator.
Guy's awesome,
Love
isn't he?
That guy.
Isn't he great?
Love him.
Isn't he great?
Yeah. Pete's the best. You know, Pete got on there and he talked and he gave his perspective on things. I wouldn't call Pete a Mark Davis apologist, but I'll tell you what, Pete calls him like he sees him.
Yes.
He doesn't have to be a Mark Davis apologist. But what he said was, you know, the Raiders footed the bill. The Raiders, for what they did, for everything they did, for the oh my gosh, for the food and the lodging, and I mean they took care of it.
That's 140 people they're bringing in. That's not a cheap.
That's not a cheap thing, and that's Mark Davis. You know, he's he calls it like he sees it, and he said it was first class all the way. Now this is a guy that he knows first class.
Yeah,
you know, and talk about the legacy and the ability of all these different eras of players to get together and what that means to the new guys and what that means to the existing coaching staff and what it means for Raider Nation. You know, I don't know of other groups that do that.
There's not. I mean, that's it. I mean, it doesn't happen. Certainly not with that level of class and commitment to those players, and to really the ceremony of it and the pageantry. I use pageantry in relation to football, but I mean,
sure.
but to the exhibition of it to, like, it isn't just like a little thing that's held in a corner. Like, these guys are out there, and the Raiders are, they're exposing them to the world. Like, this is what we do. We're proud of our legacy. We're proud of our history, and we're going to share that back with you guys. Of course, Pete gave us an awesome firsthand account of everything that happened, but the Raiders, I mean, they shared those videos of Gruden breaking down the guy. They share all that stuff, and so it's the Villapiano had a press conference. Darryl LaMonica had a press conference. These guys are out there, and it's just great, especially for guys like us that are fans of those old school Raiders, that are fans of guys like Villapiano and Ted Hendricks. And, we love seeing all those guys and hearing from all those guys. And the fact that the Raiders do this, like Pete said, no one else does anything like it. And it's just awesome. And so not only great to hear about all that, but great to hear from Pete and great to hear about his commitment to health and wellness. And, definitely check out his stuff. Like he says, there's only 8 letters to remember his website, PETEKOCH. So
yeah, and I love what I'm a teacher, as a profession, that's what I do. And so to hear Pete call himself an educator and said, say things that we as educators, those catchphrases that click for us, make you a little bit better. He said, if what I do for you makes you a little bit better, the guy's commitment is for real. And that, he's got all my respect. It's
cool.
just like, and we have the same hair.
And you have the same
and we
hair.
got the same hair.
When Uncle Mosh grows his hair out, he's got the exact same, it's the same color. It's the same everything. You and Pete Koch,
and
of course,
Ryan.
Yeah, and Rob Ryan. That's Uncle Mark's true doppelganger is Rob Ryan. If you've never seen a picture of Uncle Mosh, you got to look, especially when you grow your hair out.
Right.
You and Rob Ryan, like, it's scary how much you guys look alike.
Because I'm an actor by trade, so I keep wanting them to make a movie about Rob Ryan. I wish he'd do something other than get in fights in Nashville, because they'd probably. I'm too old. They'd have to get me a stunt double.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, too funny. All right, well, thank you again to Pete Koch. Appreciate Pete joining us here once again on Raiders Fan Radio. So you can expect to hear more and more great interviews from us here on Raiders Fan Radio. This is always where we're going to host our interviews. Got some more coming up. I'm going to had a conversation with Mike Summers. He's the guy that is the founder and director and planner of the Raiders Fan Convention that goes on every year. We're going to talk to Mike in an upcoming interview. I've also reached out to the guy. I mentioned it in the interview with Pete that I was going to do a black hole of the internet, Mosh, on this topic. We don't have time today to get to it. We had so much show to get to. But coming soon, we're going to do something on, let me make sure I get the letters right. It's the VMGR 352 Squadron. So as I mentioned in the interview with Pete, that squadron basically kind of
they're a refueling squadron.
Right. And they rebranded their image in the early 80s to reflect that of the Raiders. They're actually called the Raiders. They have shields and skulls in their logo, then cross sabers and whatnot. And there's a really, really cool story about that team, that squadron. Well, the guy that did it, the guy that spearheaded that effort, I found him.
Nice.
Yeah, and I reached out to him, and so I'm going to try to get an interview scheduled with him, and we're going to bring that to you. So that's the kind of stuff you're going to hear on Raiders Fan Radio. You're going to hear all those great interviews from celebrities and people like that are tied into the organization, and then also, of course, former players.
But no Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks is not welcome on the show. Wilson, different story. Wilson will let in on the show, but definitely no Tom Hanks. Yeah. Uncle Mosh. That brings us to all the show that we have today. That's it, man.
Now I got to go home and pressure wash the house.
Okay, all right. So, but anyways, thank you for joining us here for another episode of Raiders Fan Radio. Thank you to all of you that are in the chat. Ron, Alexandro, the Dakota Raider, Brandon Boyd. I know there's many more of you that I can't scroll up and see them all, but thank you guys for joining us here on the chat. We appreciate you as always. You can check out everything that we do at RaidersFanRadio.com. You can find us on the Facebooks. You can find us on the Twitters.
The Stitchers.
On the Stitchers. On the Instagrams.
All of them. On all the thes.
All the thes on the interwebs. We are there. Just look for Raiders Fan Radio. All of our shows are underneath Murph's Fan Cave, which you can subscribe to. Please like and subscribe to us on iTunes. That's one of the best ways to support the show. But any podcast service that you listen to us on, please like and subscribe to us. That's definitely the best way that you can support us. What about t-shirts? We have any t-shirts left, Mosh?
We got a handful. Got a handful of t-shirts left. We've got so much stuff going on. We're trying to get rid of the old stock. We got some new stuff coming in. We've had a few folks ask if they can order an Uncle Mosh t-shirt.
We'll see. Yeah. Show the YouTubes there. Show your camera. That's the Uncle Mosh. That's the Uncle Mosh t-shirt there. Of course, we got your hair coiffed. Is that what you call it?
Yeah,
coiffed?
it's coiffed.
It's coiffed. Yeah, you got you and Pete Koch hair right there.
I got my Pete Koch hair working.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to have those for you soon. We'll have an Uncle Mosh shirt. I don't know what we're going to have. We're going to have shirts. We got stuff going on. But anyways, if you want to buy one of the old shirts, there's a handful left there at RaidersFanRadio.com. I think that's it. So thanks again for joining us here on episode 89. Uncle Mosh, you want to hit him with a tagline on our way out?
Hey, fandom is the dumb. What does that mean?
I don't know. I think you just called us all dumb. How about
No. We got to
from the lighter side of fandom for fans of the dark side. How about that one?
I like it when you do that AM voice.
Hey, I learned it from your brother.
We'll see you next week.
How about Raider Nation wherever?
Forever. So I keep wanting them to make a movie about Rob Ryan. I wish he'd do something other than get in fights in Nashville.